thought this day would happen. I never thought I'd be showing you how to make amazing gluten-free baguettes. I never thought I'd probably eat a nice baguette again, because it's one of the things I've missed so much, being gluten-free. Like, as a kid, I loved baguettes. Crusty outside, soft middle, and that's pretty much what I'm gonna show you today, but they're gluten-free so that we can eat them. Like, they're really simple to make, and I don't know, I just thought that they wouldn't be, but a lot of practice has gone into this, and I'm honestly super happy with the recipe. As I said, really simple ingredients, and you do get that really nice crusty outside with a soft middle. You can cut it up, and I mean, you can make like a sandwich with it. You can just cut it up into little bits and spread some butter on it. Like, whatever you do with a baguette, you can do with this, because this is just like a regular baguette, but it's gluten-free. Like, how good is that? You can put sesame seeds on top, poppy seeds, you can do it, like, cover it with cheese, whatever you want. One thing I will say, you do need one bit of equipment for this. You need a baguette tray thing, whatever this is called. But these are really simple to find. I just bought mine in a supermarket. You can buy them online, very affordable, very good value, and very essential. Don't try and do it without it. Buy one of these. But yeah, the full recipe for this is in my book, which I will link below so you can read along, follow along. But I thought that just making this video would be really handy, because it just shows you all the steps properly. So that's why I did it. So let's get on with showing you the ingredients, and then we can make our baguettes. Okay, so I told you ingredients wise, very simple, very sort of whitey beigey colours, but everything is very accessible. So let's start here. This is actually gluten-free bread flour, but you can use gluten-free plain / all-purpose flour. Whatever you can get your hands on will be fine for this. I've got some egg whites here. I've measured them out, sorted them out already. You can use don't get rid of egg yolks, you can use them for something else. I've got warm water here. This is warm. I always say this, but when you feel it, it shouldn't be boiling, it shouldn't be cold, it should kind of just be pleasant, as it were. I've got some caster sugar here. I have got some xanthan gum here, which is pretty important for this, as is the psyllium husk, the one ingredient that people are always like, oh, I can't always find that. You can, and you can buy it super cheaply, and I promise you, it is what makes these amazing, and it's what makes so many of my bread recipes really good, because it gives it the gluten factor, which is what we want. I've got some cider vinegar here in my little shot glass. Not a shot though, but just a small amount of cider vinegar. I have also got some salt here, and I've got a little bit of melted butter. And then the final ingredient I've got is yeast, which obviously is very important for baking bread. This is dried active yeast, so it needs to be activated, which is why I've got my sugar and my warm water. And also, just to say, make sure that your yeast is definitely gluten-free. Yeast as an ingredient obviously is, but things can be added to yeast. This is completely fine. So this is one that I would recommend. But yeah, that's literally all the ingredients, except I have forgotten to get some seeds out, which I will be putting on top of mine. But yeah, so you could get sesame seeds or poppy seeds or whatever you wanted. But these are all the main core ingredients that you will need alongside your baguette tin, and I will be using a stand mixer, but you can use an electric hand whisk as well for this. So yeah, that's all you need. Let's get on with baking some baguettes. Okay, so first things first, I've got my warm water, and I'm just going to add to it my sugar and my yeast, and then I'll mix that together and leave it for about 10 minutes until it gets nice and frothy. Remember that if it doesn't go frothy, then you shouldn't be continuing. If it doesn't go frothy, there can be a number of reasons for that. You might be using the wrong type of yeast, your yeast might be out of date or something, or a bit old, but make sure that it's really nice and frothy, and I'll show you what I mean in about 10 minutes time. Okay, so whilst I'm waiting for the yeast, I'm gonna put all my dry ingredients into here, so my gluten-free flour, my psyllium husk, my xanthan gum, and my salt. I'm gonna mix them all together, and then by the time that's done, I think almost 10 minutes will be up, and we'll be able to put in all the wet ingredients, including that frothy yeast. Whoa, that looks really good, really yeasty, really frothed up, it's increased in size. So I'm gonna pour this in, as well as my butter, my vinegar, and my egg whites, and then I'll mix it all together briefly before I put it into the stand mixer to go on a proper like mix. Right, so this is ready to mix now, and I am going to mix it for between 3 to 5 minutes until it's all really nice and combined. It almost seems like a, not elasticy, is that a word? Elasticy? I don't know, but pretty much like a really sticky kind of dough. You'll know when it's done because it shouldn't look like this, and I'll show you what it should look like in about 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes and it's all mixed and it's become a nice sort of really sort of sticky dough. You can see on my fingers, sticky. So we're going to leave this just to sit in the bowl just like this for about 10 minutes, and that just helps for the liquid and the water and all the stuff that's in it that's liquid to hydrate all those dry ingredients. So we're going to leave that just for a short while, and then after that it's very, very simple. We're going to start putting the mixture into our baguette tins so that it can prove, and then it's time to cook. So this has been sitting here for about 10 minutes now, and you can see that it's a lot less sticky on the hands. Before it was sticking everywhere, now my hands are fairly clean. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to portion it out between the two baguette tins, or the baguette tin with the two bits in it. So yeah, basically we're just going to spoon some into here and some into there, but then what we need to do, because it will be sticky once you start moving it, is that we need to smooth it over, because we're going to leave it to prove, and however it looks at this point is how it's going to sort of look once it's proven, and then that's going to be how it looks once it's cooked. So we want them to be fairly smooth looking, just like a regular baguette, not just some weird contraption thing that isn't like a proper baguette. We want the proper thing here. So I'll spoon it in, so you can see how I'm doing it. It is a bit sticky, so what I tend to do is that if I'm using my fingers or a palette knife, I get myself a little bit of water, like so, and then I can dip my fingers in it, and that really helps to just sort of keep the stickiness. Obviously you don't want tons of water on it, but just a little bit, just to help you sort of shape it into the form that you want it. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll show you, of course, along the way. Okay, so I've got all my mixture into here now, but now I need to shape it. You don't want bits that are like sort of here, it looks quite thin compared to this bit. We want to make it all so it's nice and even. Also, in my crazed madness and excitement of making these, I forgot to tell you about how I prepare the tin. So with the tin, I just sort of spread, I use a little bit of kitchen roll and just wipe some butter into it just to sort of grease it, so you can just do anything that you would normally do to grease it. And then also, something that I completely forgot to do, is I like to sprinkle the base of my tins with either sesame or poppy. So what I was gonna do is, before I put this mixture in, I was going to sprinkle the tin, this one with sesame, this one with poppy, and then what I'll do is I'll be putting it over the top as well. So you'll just have to imagine that, and when you do it yourself, definitely do it, because it's really nice to have the seeds on the top and the bottom. But obviously I'm just a bit forgetful and forgot. But what I'm gonna do now is just smooth them out, make them nice and even, so there's not these big wide bits here and thin bits there. As I said, I'm going to be using my fingers with some water, but also I've got my trusty palette knife, which I use for everything. So yeah, watch and learn, I guess. Okay, so these are nicely smooth now, as smooth as, I mean, you could do it for longer if you wanted to make them even smoother, but around this is what I would say is okay. And as you can see, like throughout, because my hands were wet, didn't get sticky hands, and the palette knife remained non-sticky as well. So that's kind of what you're aiming for. Now, you don't then put your seeds on at this point. What I tend to do is I just cover it with cling film, and I'm gonna let it prove for around 45 minutes. Obviously this timing will vary depending on the temperature. So if you were gonna put it into your oven on a really, really low temperature, like I'm thinking 30 degrees C or less, but that's nice and warm, then it will probably take around 40 to 45 minutes. If you're not gonna do that and you're just gonna put it somewhere that isn't as warm as that, it might take up to an hour. I'm actually not going to put it into my oven like I usually do today, because it is so hot outside that I'm just going to leave it covered in cling film here, and hopefully in around 45 minutes, it should be all proved ready for me to sprinkle on my seeds. Try and remind me to do that. And then I'll be able to bake it in the oven. Okay, so here they are. They have risen lovely. I'm very impressed. I'm very happy with this. So I'm going to remove the cling film now, and then I'm going to sprinkle with my seeds that I've remembered this time. I decided to do one with sesame, one with poppy, and then I will be doing some slashes just with a sharp knife across like this, and then they'll be ready for the oven. Now the oven I've preheated, it's on 200 degrees C fan, so that's 220 degrees C, which is 400 degrees Fahrenheit, I believe. And also I've boiled a kettle because in the base of the oven there is going to be some water to help with the steam. I don't know why I'm doing these hand movements. So yeah, I'll do that now. Well, I'll show you what I'm doing anyway, whatever. Okay, so these are ready to go in the oven. These are gonna go in for 40 minutes in total, 20 minutes at that original 200 degrees C fan temperature, and then we're gonna reduce it to 160 degrees C fan for the last 20 minutes. So 20 at 200, 20 at 160, and that's just because we're sort of crisping up at the beginning and then cooking it through. And if you put it on 200 for the whole time, they will probably go a bit too brown. Saying that, if when you look into the oven, after 30 minutes of the 40, they look to be going a little bit browner than you'd like to, all you have to do is get a little bit of foil and shiny side up, put it over the bread quite loosely, not too tight, and that will just mean that they can cook without the tops browning anymore. But I'm now going to put these into the oven and put my timer on, and also, very importantly, pour a load of boiling water into the base of the oven so that it has that nice steaming effect. So they are out of the oven. There we go. Don't they just look amazing? Look. Lovely, nice, crispy, crusty exterior, and obviously you just have to trust me for now. The interior, or the center, whatever, the middle is lovely and soft. So I'm gonna leave these, obviously just like with all breads, especially gluten-free breads, it continues to cook. It continues to cook until it's completely cool. So you cannot eat it until this is cold. Honestly, it makes such a difference to the texture and everything. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave this for just like literally a couple of minutes in this tin, and then I'm gonna remove both of them and put them onto a cooling rack to fully cool, because if you leave it in something that's a bit more filled in, I find that bread will go soggy, so you need to get it off here onto a cooling rack to fully cool, and obviously it will cool quicker. Obviously it will cool quicker as well, which is very handy. But yeah, these will be ready to enjoy fairly soon. This gluten-free baguette is so soft and the crust is just so epic. Honestly, no one on this earth would know it's gluten-free. Just like my gluten-free sandwich loaf, which you can click up here to watch a video of how I make it. And also you can click up here to watch me make gluten-free brioche burger buns. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.